Hello, my name is Jesus Esquivel. I will be discussing the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall was thought to be one of the most powerful things, also known as the Iron Curtain. It would really devastate the people, especially on the east side. It was temporary. It was discussed after the Yalta and the Potsdam Conference that took place in Germany between the Allies. They would discuss how they should operate each share of their land. The Soviets would have the east side, and the rest of the Allies, French, British, and Americans, would have the west side. I want you to picture yourself post World War II, 1945. You had just found out that the Allies would divide your country, your nation, into two parts, in into four sections precisely, to prevent the Nazi Party from coming together again, and rebuild Germany. Now you don't know what will happen. Nevertheless, you won't be able to see your family for years to come, or maybe even never. What is the Berlin Wall? The Berlin Wall, known as the Iron Curtain, was to divide Germany into two parts: the Allies on the west side and the Russians, still the Allies, but more aggressive on the east side. The conference, called the Potsdam Conference, that took place between July 17th and 1945 to August 2nd, 1945, was where the Allies where they discussed how they should operate their share of the land. The west side, including France, Britain, and US, later on France, but they were still there, would boost the economy by having capitalism, higher wages, better jobs, better everything, better economy. Because we all know that the Treaty of Paris really devastated and left Germany in a deep hole. They really owed a lot of money, and reparations wouldn't be possible without the Allies taking over and giving a hand, even though it's to the enemy. The East Side, on the other hand, denied their citizens of everything, except they did provide free healthcare and free education. It was so extreme that some East citizens would attempt to cross the wall and even risk their lives at all costs. The Soviet regime called themselves GDR, German Democratic Republic, and the West Side, they called themselves the Federal German Republic, FGR. Each country wanted their land to prosper except the Soviets. The Soviets wanted to deplete the land of the natural resources and just harm the people. A parliament was established on the FGR, the Federal German Republic, and the Soviets had a planned economy, no freedom of press or speech, and they limited migration very severely. It is interesting to note that the Soviets called themselves Democrats, but they really weren't Democrats. They were more of a dictatorships. The communist regime, the Soviets, called themselves the German Democratic Republic, but they were a dictatorship, which is very ironic. How did the East German citizens attempt to cross to the land of the free? They attempted by tunnels, even homemade hot air balloons. They tried swimming. They tried hopping over buildings that were close to the border. But those border buildings were they were diminished. They were taken down in order to make strips that where the GDR would plant bombs, well, landmines. They would have barbed wire strips, everything, even guard dogs. They would try to limit migration to the minimum. In August 13, 1961, was when the wall was built, and luckily 3.5 million people were able to escape before that date, and only about 170 to 250 people died attempted to cross. A young man by the name of Peter Fetcher, 18 years old, sadly, a bricklayer, he decided he had enough. He attempted using his luck to cross the border, but he was eventually taken down by a rain of bullets, which is very sad, very young. How did the United States attempt to have the wall taken down? In October of 1961, John F. Kennedy, the president at the time, prevented World War III after a standoff between an American and a German at Checkpoint Charlie, a, a gate between the two borders, by talking to Nikita Khrushchev. Furthermore, on June 23rd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy gave his famous speech, Ich bin ein Berliner, saying he is a Berliner and he feels their pain, he is with them at all costs. This showed that the Americans would stand alongside the West Germans in order to protect them from the GDR, the German Democratic Republic. On June 12, 1987, President Ronald Reagan arrived at West Germany to challenge Mikhail Gorbachev to tear the wall down. How did the German Democratic Republic attempt to diminish the tension? The GDR attempted to make migration more accessible, lower fees, but eventually the applications for travel became so high that it was to no avail. On November 9th, 1989, tens of thousands of people stormed the border and forced the guards to open the gates. What did the Soviets and the Allies learn from this? The Soviets learned that although they weren't prepared and they knew that they would have their own regime, they would attempt to apply their own techniques in order to have a better world, that they were wrong at the end of the day. The Americans learned, on the other hand, that anything that stands in their way, they can take it down. In conclusion, the Berlin Wall took a lot of lives and rights from us, but it taught us a big lesson. No matter what barrier stands to rob us of our freedom, we can take it down. We should consider all perspectives from all countries involved when making decisions with great risk to obtain a positive result. This is my speech. Thank you.